Hello friends, in this video we are going to learn about epistaxis. So it is bleeding from nose, may be spontaneous or induced. So induced may be because of trauma or nose picking, and this nose picking is the most common cause of epistaxis in children, okay? And in elderly, hypertension is the most common cause of epistaxis. Now the commonest site of epistaxis is Little's area. So this Little's area is the anterior inferior part of nasal septum, okay? So anterior inferior part of nasal septum is the Little's area. Now here is the nasal septum, which is supplied by anterior ethmoidal artery, posterior ethmoidal artery, then spinopalatine artery, greater palatine artery, and superior labial artery, okay? So this anterior ethmoidal artery and posterior ethmoidal artery are the branches of ophthalmic artery, and which in turn is a branch of internal carotid artery, okay? Then the spinopalatine artery and greater palatine artery are the branches of maxillary artery, which in turn is the branch of external carotid artery, okay? And this superior labial artery is a branch of external carotid artery, okay? Which a branch of facial artery, which in turn is a branch of external carotid artery, okay? Then next is Cajelbach's plexus. So this Cajelbach's plexus is the vascular anastomosis at the Little's area, okay? So this is the Little's area, but the point here is this posterior ethmoidal artery doesn't take part in the formation of Cajelbach's plexus, okay? So only spinopalatine artery, greater palatine artery, septal branch of the superior labial artery, and anterior ethmoidal artery takes part in the formation of Cajelbach's plexus, okay? Then some important points regarding the epistaxis. So this epistaxis, the artery of epistaxis is the spinopalatine artery. Why? Because it supplies the major part of the nasal septum, and the most common artery involved in the epistaxis is the spinopalatine artery. So that's why it is called as artery of epistaxis. The next point is location of the spinopalatine artery. It is a very important point, the location of spinopalatine artery, and it is located at the posterior end of the middle turbinate, okay? So and this is the artery which is involved in anterior and posterior epistaxis, okay? So most common artery involved in anterior and posterior epistaxis is the spinopalatine artery, and the location of the spinopalatine artery is here. This is the middle turbinate, okay? This is the middle turbinate, and the posterior part of the middle turbinate is the spinopalatine foramen, in which this artery is located, okay? So this is spinopalatine artery in the spinopalatine foramen. Now next is management of the epistaxis. So management, so first is the Trotter's maneuver. So what is this Trotter's maneuver? So it is the first step to control the epistaxis, okay? So in this Trotter's maneuver, the patient is asked to pinch the nose, then patient is made to sit and leaning forward, and the patient is asked to breathe quietly with the mouth with the pinched nose, okay? So this is the position of Trotter's maneuver. So the lady has pinched her nose, she is breathing slightly or quietly with the mouth, and the patient is sit in front of a basin, is made to sit in front of a basin in order to spit in case any blood comes, okay? Now management. So next point is anterior nasal packing. So if anterior nasal packing stops the bleeding, then it's fine. Otherwise we have to do posterior nasal packing, okay? And if posterior nasal packing doesn't stop the bleeding, then we have to do the arterial ligation. So some important points regarding the arterial ligation is, we first ligate the spinopalatine artery, which is the artery of epistaxis. If it doesn't work, then greater palatine artery is ligated. Then after greater palatine artery, facial artery is ligated, okay? Now after facial artery, we have to ligate external carotid artery, and even if after external carotid artery ligation the epistaxis doesn't stop, then we have to ligate the ethmoidal artery. Now here till this point the supply was from external carotid artery, okay? Now here external carotid artery is also ligated. Still the blood is not stopping, So now we have to ligate the branch of internal carotid artery, which is ethmoidal artery. Okay. Now some special points regarding this arterial ligation. So transnasal endoscopic spinopalatine artery ligation. So this TESPAL procedure is done in spinopalatine artery ligation. So it is nothing but ligation of this spinopalatine artery in the spinopalatine foramen, which is located behind this middle turbinate. Okay. So the spinopalatine artery is ligated in the spinopalatine foramen located behind the posterior end of middle turbinate. Okay. The next is maxillary artery ligation. This is done by the procedure called as Caldwell-Luke operation. Okay. So in this procedure, a sublabial approach is done. Okay. So through sublabial approach, antrostomy is done. So antrostomy is done, then mucosa of the posterior antrum, that is maxillary sinus, is elevated and window is made through the pterygopalatine fossa, and in this pterygopalatine fossa maxillary artery is ligated. So maxillary artery is ligated at the pterygopalatine fossa behind the posterior wall of maxillary sinus. Then posterior wall removed and maxillary artery is ligated. The next is ethmoidal artery ligation. So even if the external carotid artery is ligated, if the bleeding is not stopping, now we have to go for external ethmoidal artery ligation. Okay. So in this ethmoidal artery ligation, Lynch incision is taken on the medial wall of the orbit. So this is the medial wall of the orbit, and this Lynch incision is taken, and in this way the ethmoidal artery is ligated. Okay. And very important point in epistaxis is internal carotid artery is never ligated to control epistaxis, because internal carotid artery supplies major part of the brain, so it can lead to severe intracranial complications and can lead to death of the patient. So internal carotid artery is never ligated in the epistaxis. Okay. So this was all about epistaxis. Thank you so much.